2022. It is 2:32 p.m. We will call the meeting of the Ethics Board to order. And good afternoon. I'm Stephen Fogelman, and per the Open Meetings Act, the board discloses that it adjourned its virtual open meeting on July 13th, 2022 to enter into administrative session at approximately 3:22 p.m. 3 board members were present. Members discussed administrative matters, including complaints, and the board may need to close some or all of this meeting today to preserve the confidentiality mandated by the Ethics Code or as otherwise authorized by the State Open Meetings Act. Likewise, upon adjournment of the open session, the board may reconvene for administrative session to discuss non-public administrative functions of the board. Thank you, and we will look at the July 13th, 2022 public meeting minutes. Are there any changes or edits requested? All right, hearing none, I'll move that we approve the minutes of July 13th, 2022.
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 All right. And the minutes are approved. And now we'll go to the ethics officers updates.
All right, so annual report. I've been working on the annual report, and Chris has as well. And last year we published our annual report on September 27th. So we'll probably, I suspect we'll publish this year's report around the same time. So we should have a final version ready very soon. Regarding the ethics training, we have had 15 people complete the training on the Ethics Board's website this summer. We have 70 people registered for upcoming sessions. We're just waiting for it to be available on Workday. It looks like that date will be August 29th. It'll be available on Workday, and that program looks really, really cool. I think it's gonna be really interactive and very easy to manage on our end. So that will start in August. We'll have the training up on Workday, and then all of those people who have registered will be enrolled. For Helpdesk, we received 61 Helpdesk requests in July. It was a little bit more quiet. We received 4 from lobbyists, 4 concerning gift solicitations, 27 about financial disclosure statements, 16 ethics inquiries, 4 about the ethics training, and then 1 was administrative, and 5 were outside of the board's jurisdiction. So our total for fiscal year 23 is 61. We've received no complaints, no new requests for advisor opinions, and no requests for employment waivers this month. Going on to financial disclosure statements, we have 21 outstanding filers. That's down from 68 last month, so a little over 40 outstanding filers did file, so that's slowly coming down. 11 employees haven't filed and 10 board members haven't filed. And then there are 13 filers who are required to file, and they're on leave, and they've been on leave, so once they return, they'll be required to file. And then regarding those next steps and what the board discussed during the last meeting administrative session, I can provide an update during this administrative session today on financial disclosure filers. Then we'll move on to gift solicitation reports. One application was resubmitted to the board. We originally received this last July, and the director of the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs asked the board to take a look at it today. So if the board's able to, we'll discuss that. 1 campaign filed a final report and 2 campaigns filed interim reports. And we requested additional information for some of those reports. So we're waiting on those, but agencies have been filing very timely. And then our last metric is lobbying. So all semi-annual lobbying activity reports were filed by the deadline, which is the first time since I started that all reports were filed by the deadline. So no late fees. I sent weekly reminders. I did not want to do late fees. So that is a really great metric for this year. And those are all the metrics. Thank you.
Good numbers.
So one question.
Sure.
Sorry. This is Donna. On the training, I know we're doing the online training now, but is there any group that you think would benefit from a live session or a hybrid where we do online and with a facilitator live?
Well, that's actually a really good point, because on Workday, they offer like a hybrid model where people would take the training, but then they'd have 1 hour during the month where it'd be live with either Chris or myself. So that's something we could think about. I don't know any group per se off the top of my head. We do provide live trainings upon request. If we get those requests, we do provide them. But that's something that we could definitely think about, and I can look more into the workday options and let you know about that.
I tell you, in my experience, the group that benefits the most from live training are the high-risk groups. And the high-risk groups are typically the ones with the most authority. So that's either your senior leadership team or the, for example, procurement acquisition group, the facilities group, public, I forget what they're called. Oh my God, I'm having a brain freeze. Public works.
Oh, right.
So it's just something to think about, if you will. I don't like just saying one size fits all. And that's online training. And I think online training takes care of the majority, and that's great because it's quality controlled and it's easy to do. But I think when it comes to certain groups like Brandon's senior executive team, they need annual in-person refresher. They need to meet Christoph and you and see maybe one or two of the ethics board on the phone or on the computer.
I think that's a great point.
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
because we want them to call you all when they have questions or feel a little uneasy about something. And they aren't going to do that unless they know you. So they're not going to know you because there's no other reason for them, to know you except to kind of force them gently into set up a training session.
Yeah,
annual training is not too big an ask for them.
Right. And I started with Jeff previously. We made a list of everyone who's qualified as an official under the law. So if I could just update that list, we could easily see who hasn't taken the training and kind of, press them to register, send out like an email to them. So, okay, I will, I'll take a look at that and then update next month on what I find.
Yeah. And again, I think the senior leadership team should get it annually or when there's a major event. We've had a major event. We have a new director. And I don't remember that senior team all getting trained in person last time anyway.
No, that's great. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. And congratulations on the lobbyist thing. That's great.
Yes. Yeah, I'm real happy.
All right. Does that conclude our update?
Yep, that's it.
Let's move into old business. We've got Healing City, Baltimore from Councilman Cohen. 3 waivers. Start with Healing City, Baltimore Summit and neighborhood events.
Yes, so I can clarify this. The board already approved these waivers, contingent on Board of Estimates endorsement. However, when I got the Board of Estimates endorsements, they signed a memo and the application. It was very different than what was submitted to the board. Let me see here. I have specifically, let's see. I outlined the differences. So firstly, if we could jump to the peer recovery specialist waiver, what was submitted to us was a request to raise funds to support a training these specialists in different agencies so they could provide trauma-informed care training. What was submitted to the Board of Estimates was a request to provide stipends for trainings in the city and in the community. The Board of Estimates approved a waiver requesting 1.5 million in fundraising. Ours was only 500,000 in fundraising. So these waivers were very different. And I requested additional information, but haven't heard back. So I figured I would just bring that to your attention and see if, if in this example, if they would need to go back to the Board of Estimates or if they need to resubmit it to the ethics board. And that's the other two are very similar.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would further ask for an explanation of why.
Okay.
If we didn't receive a copy of it, and it was changed. You know, can you tell us why? What happened? You know, why didn't you come back to ethics? Because that's our I mean, it goes without saying, our approvals are always based on what you've provided us. If there's any changes, you've got to come back and ask for another opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, I would second Donna's suggestion. But you know, certainly the outreach can be, we approve the, or maybe should be something along the lines of, we approve the solicitation based on the four corners of the document and what was presented to us. So if you'd like to resubmit and ensure that it's commensurate with what you presented to the Board of Estimates. I mean, I don't want to do anything that's going to imply that he was, you know, had a nefarious intent. Certainly, we don't think that, but it does need to be congruent. Like the documents do need to be congruent. I agree with you, Donna.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
I'll tell you, I don't understand the entity, the role of the entity controlling the funds. They're not a financial entity. They're a service entity, right?
I think if you're talking, are you talking about Healing City, Baltimore?
Oh, have I switched to a different one now?
No, that may be what you're referring to. But it's really kind of, for me, it's a little bit somewhat confusing. We have like this separate entity called Healing City, Baltimore that is requesting to fundraise on behalf of Councilman Cohen's office. But regardless, we're going through the civic fund. It is a little bit confusing.
Okay, the civic fund, you know, we've heard from them, and we're all feeling comfortable with them being audited and reporting and controlling according to, you know, general accounting practices. And I don't remember which one it is at this point, but at least one of the three brought up this other group, which when I looked them up, they're in the business of providing trading, not controlling funds. And it said the funds were going to be intermingled.
Is this the Maryland Philanthropy Network? I think that's probably what you're looking at.
Yes,
I understand. Okay. When I follow up with them regarding these endorsements, I can ask them to clarify this fiscal sponsor, if that would help.
Yeah, I mean, to me, they're almost like a supplier of the training. So if they're a supplier of the training, should they also be the ones bringing in the money and controlling how it's spent and accounted for? And oh, by the way, it's mixed in with other accounts that they have. To me, it didn't sound like separation of duties, but.
No, I like that idea. If we're going to require them to resubmit, maybe he can clarify. Steve, I think you're muted. If you're talking to us, I think you're muted.
No, I'm not talking to you. I'm trying to.
Oh, okay. I saw your lips moving.
It's her birthday, so I'm giving her a break. Yeah.
No, I saw your lips moving. I didn't want to overtalk you. No, we can just clarify whatever, you know, the point that Donna made. I agree with that. And then since they're going to have to resubmit.
Okay, perfect.
So that's been approved. Yeah.
Yep. So, and that pretty much sums up the three of them. The Healing City Baltimore staffing one is pretty consistent with what they submitted to the Board of Estimates. None of the information has necessarily changed. The only thing that did change is the application is like half complete for what they submitted to the Board of Estimates. So I would imagine that they would just need to ensure that the Board of Estimates endorse their full application. So I'll just remind them about that. The other two are very different, so I'll request that they resubmit either to the Board of Estimates the correct application or that they submit it to us. And then I'll request clarification about the Maryland Philanthropy Network. Okay, perfect.
And then does it say, have you ever received a report from the American Philanthropy Network?
I have. They did use them in the past for this Healing City Baltimore. Healing City Baltimore has this relationship with them. But regardless, we can still ask for clarification on kind of how it works.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Mara, is this where we should bring Ms. Rodriguez's request back?
Yep, we can go into that now.
Yeah.
So just sure, and I can clarify that one as well. The board reviewed that last July. Everything looks good. They were just, you all wanted to know about the past campaigns, expenditures, and contributions. They provided an updated report. We reviewed that report, everything lined up. So now that the application is kind of teed up for approval, but because there was such a huge gap in time, the director asked the board to look at it now. It would only be until December 2022. And then in the meantime, she's drafting a waiver for the following time, so 2023. So I wanted to see what you all thought about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's thorough. I'm satisfied with it. Any discussion?
Ditto.
I don't remember anything standing out, so no.
Yeah, and let me, you sent this to us yesterday. Let's see.
And I just sent it this morning. She had just told me this morning.
That's why I couldn't find it. Yeah.
Yeah. The application hasn't changed at all. The last time the board discussed it, everyone was pretty satisfied with the application. They just wanted more, you all wanted more information about the last campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm seeing it. Yeah, I'll make a motion that we. The name of the organization is the
The Mayor's Office of
Baltimore
Immigrant
Community Fund.
Yep, that's the campaign.
Yeah, so I would go ahead and move that we approve the Baltimore Immigrant Community Fund solicitation waiver.
Yep. Second.
All right, all in favor of approval, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, and that is approved. All right, unless there's any more old business in the public session, we will move to new business. Mara?
Sure. So, Chris, would you like to talk about these bill
sure.
reports?
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
We have two city council bills, bill reports 22-0254 relating the establishment of an Office of Aging as an independent agency. I have taken the liberty of drafting a response from the board. Maura, did you by any chance include the responses?
Yes.
The establishment of that board, of that office as an independent agency really does not add to the ethics board's responsibilities or requires any expenditure, as we already have the reporting channels in place. It would create no additional expenditure. So my recommendation was in that accordingly, although the ethics board does not take a position on the bill's financial disclosure requirements are consistent with the ethics law's substance and administration. So I would post this for the board's consent and provide that to the respective agency.
Yeah, thank you, Christoph. Yeah, I did see the letter this morning. I think this is consistent with our position on so many bills. Maybe the next one. so yeah, fine job. I have no comment. No comments on the substance of the matter.
Very good. Then the second bill was 22. Sorry.
I'm so sorry to interrupt.
No
and
problem.
For just point of clarification, do you go by Christoph or Chris? I want to make sure that
It's either is fine.
Okay, whatever you're okay. I want to make sure we call you what you're most comfortable with. But I would just say, to the extent that we're formally approving these responses in this meeting, just because Arnold is not here and his name is on the letter, I would just make sure he's comfortable with it. I know that we do this sort of in a quorum format, but given that our names are individually listed, I would just want to make sure that I'm fine with it. Sounds like Steve and maybe Donna are, but just to confirm that Arnold is before we release it with his name. That's all.
Very good.
I'm glad
Yeah,
you
that'll
brought
be
that
pull
up,
his name
because
off. Yeah.
I thought these were already sent because they were signed. So,
They were signed and they're dated August, well, this one is August 8th.
Right.
The response.
So-
The
so
other
all
one,
I'm
I believe, is dated August 11th, in an abundance of optimism. So,
yeah, no, it's just a technicality.
so,
So I wouldn't sign it until it's approved.
very
All
good.
right, so- Yeah.
Yeah, because
So I don't
otherwise
think we
I
can
don't know. I figured when I read them that they had already been sent.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, I wonder if we got a copy of this and I missed it. So, no, it read great. So thank you.
I will,
All right,
I will
so-
take note of that and in the next round apply the signature when the board has approved the letter.
Thank you. All right, that's the bill report for Office of Aging is moved and approved. All right, great. Christoph, why don't you tell us about the arson offender registration bill?
Yes, I'm not sure if we are actually the right address to which this was sent, as the bill establishes a post-conviction or probably post incarceration registry of arson offenders. The board certainly has no authority under the city charter to police the respective citizens' compliance under that bill. It also, there is no nexus that would directly involve the ethics board, unless, of course, the bills implicitly would seek to expand the jurisdiction of the ethics board that is unrelated to public ethics. So my response was the bill is inconsistent with the city charter, the city ethics law, and the Maryland public ethics law. Therefore, the ethics board opposes that bill as it pertains to any potential involvement of the ethics board in that matter.
Yes, so I agree completely. I'm just curious, and pardon me because I'm not an attorney, so I don't know how formal we have to be here with outsiders. Why did they send it to us?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
I will definitely follow up with them on this, why it arrived at us, at our address. It's given the probable financial expenditure that comes with establishing that registry, it is possible that it was directed to the Board of Estimates and sent to the Board of Ethics. So that was my layman's interpretation of the process.
I could see that. I'm going with you there. I mean, because why don't we apply it on every ordinance out there, bike lanes and everything else? So this one is definitely a little beyond our pay grade here.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
all right. So I have no problem with the words you have written. Does anybody want to check it? All right. So I'll move for approval of.
Sorry, just for clarification too, I don't have a problem with it all. I think it's well written. Thank you so much, Chris. But this one also doesn't have our names separately, which is so let's, I mean, if we're going to do that, I'm happy to do it this way or the other way, but let's pick a way.
Yep.
Okay. I just noticed that I had used templates of similar letter or patterns of similar responses.
No, that's
so,
great.
But thank you for directing my attention to that.
And what I would say, this is just my suggestion, you can completely ignore it, but I actually prefer the way you have it here that just says members of the ethics board, so that you don't then have to go and get individual approval from each person.
Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed. Agreed.
I will do that. All right, very good. So that's all the bill reports that I have been privy to in my first 2.5 weeks. And that would
Hey,
conclude
I'm
that.
wondering, remember, ethics used to report to legislative affairs? Steve, do you think
Yeah.
we're getting some of these because of the old reporting structure?
It's possible. That one, though, is really off the wall. I mean,
Yeah.
that one, I just don't know how ethics got involved in it, unless they wanted us to change part of our questionnaire saying, have you been convicted of arson over the last year or something like that.
All right.
I have to agree with Chris's thoughts on that. Perhaps they meant estimates.
Yeah, I'm just
Yeah,
wondering if somebody is still sending it to ethics because it was sent to ethics before.
Legislative,
because
yeah.
we were, legislative affairs.
It's
Okay.
possible. It's possible.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Okay.
but I think we answered it the only way we can. So,
All right.
Yep.
all right, and that's moved and approved on bill report on arson offender registration. Is there any other new business before us today in the public session?
There is none.
All right, hearing nothing, we'll go ahead and adjourn the public session of the Ethics Board meeting of Wednesday, August 10th, 2022. See you next month.